you've actually gotten a letter from the bar telling you, what are you doing? You don't practice law. Why are you helping people? Why are you shedding light out here? I thought that was insane, was because you don't even have a fraction of the following that child support is fraud has. And a lot of these other gurus out here, you don't have the same following, but you have a bigger impact. What's the word, man? We back over here with another one, and I had to bring Greg DOSS back because just the last interview we had, we got a lot of feedback from it, and apparently child support is fraud got wind of the video as well. So salute to him, man. I'm glad he's out here learning what he's doing for the people. But Greg DOSS, though, man, I'm glad having you back, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, I feel like I always do with my hands, but I'm great.
That's good, man. It's snowing crazy down here in Chicago. How's the weather in Tampa?
Hey, it's Tampa, man, but it's a balmy 80 degrees or so out there.
So your winter is like 80 degrees?
Our winters are probably around 70. If it gets around 50 or 40, people lose their mind. I think earlier today it was like 58 degrees this morning, and people probably around here bundle up, but I kind of like it like that.
That's crazy. We take off the coats and everything when it gets 50 degrees. But I really enjoyed our last interview. It was really informative. I utilized some of the things that I was able to take from that interview with my own case, and I've actually seen some success. They wanted to bite. Yeah, they wanted to bite my head off, bro. But it didn't matter what they wanted to do because, as you said, the law is the law.
Well, so I don't say that. That is the fact.
It's law is law, bro. There's no way around it.
I can't take credit for a line of rhyme that ain't mine.
Right. But that's the thing that what I learned is that's what these packet boys are not really doing. Like they're not telling people to go in there and fight. They're really just saying, go file this. I filed this in mine and it worked. So I've learned that you got to go in there and fight. There's no one size fits all, man. You gotta be able to draft your own stuff.
Well, as always, I tell people I'm not an attorney. I don't have a license to practice law. I do not practice law. What I've done is study the law and tell people what I've learned and how I gather the information, which is based upon my personal experiences. So I don't give information as advice to apply to the specific case, but it's general information regarding the law and lawful principles, which, by the way, belong to the people. So I would definitely state use any information you get from me for educational edification only. And the reason I say that, as you know, is because I don't want anything I say to be construed to be legal advice. If you feel legal advice, I would highly encourage you to hire a licensed and hopefully competent attorney and be legally advised. So with that being said, to your statement, there's nuance in every case from what I've learned, not just in my personal experiences, but in my experiences helping other people. And if you think that a simple piece of paper is all it would take to resolve problems, and all anybody would need is some sort of Xerox and maybe some whiteout or some kind of way of changing a couple of names, and you wouldn't have libraries, law school libraries and all other places with all kinds of volumes of books based upon scenarios from a whole bunch of cases. So for anybody to set that out there in that manner, and I've learned so much more after our interview with regards to how some of these package boys or packet guys work, that I'm extremely disappointed. And maybe I think maybe it was a good thing that I probably had an opportunity to come on, specifically as a self-represented litigant, from my experience as a self-represented litigant, to speak to these issues, because candidly, that stuff is a bunch of gibberish and foolishness to think that you can just go sling some paper and get a positive result. It's just, that would be the exception and definitely not the rule.
Definitely. Well, I mean, the thing is that it's self-explanatory with somebody with experience as yourself, but to people who are kind of just getting into this new world, as I would call it. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I see like somebody else just popped in, I think. I don't know.
My name, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Oh, your thing went blank.
No, yeah, it's my name. I'm Greg. Oh, I'm Greg Dawes.
Oh, you are Greg Doss.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of people wouldn't know this just coming into this whole child support journey, but every state is different. The terminology, the rules, the codes, what they go by, it's all different. Do they kind of correlate with each other? Definitely, but I'll give you guys an example. The format that California is going to use is not going to be the same format that Illinois might use. Illinois or Florida.
Yeah.
We learned that. But the thing is, and we're just gonna get straight to the meat and potatoes. Is the reason why we're having this interview is because you've actually gotten a letter from the bar association, telling you, what are you doing? You don't practice law. Why are you helping people? Why are you shedding light out here? And the reason why I thought that was insane was because you don't even have a fraction of the following that child support is fraud has. And a lot of these other gurus out here, you don't have the same following, but you have a bigger impact. And you actually have a letter from the bar. So one question that I guess I have for a lot of these packet boys is, where's your letter?
I'm certain that
Where's your letter, bro?
if you call me out like that, I'm pretty sure, and it is going to come that they're going to respond because they're going to show where they got their letter. At least I would expect them to. I can't speak specifically for them. I don't know any of these individuals like that. I've never had any conversation or dialogue with these gentlemen to that degree. For any abundance of clarity, I'll say this though, that I do remember at some time, I forgot one of them reaching out about doing something, and I'm just like, it may sound a little bit aloof, and I don't want to sound overly exalted, but I just never needed their help. That may sound kind of a certain way, but for what? The interesting thing about the letter, D, is not only did I get the letter and it then we do some other research or checking, and I find out that the attorney that I did a appeal oral argument with is the attorney that was stalking my LinkedIn page.
So child support agency is stalking you right now. Pretty much. They're going to your LinkedIn. They went to your website. I read the letter, Greg. I mean, before we hopped on the interview, I asked you to send me the letter so I could take a look at it for myself. And they're on your website. They're on their website, LinkedIn, YouTube. Like, this is insane.
And then the people who are looking should probably be able to see the letter, so they'll know that we're not making it up. We didn't get together and come in cahoots. That's an official letter from the Florida Bar Tampa branch office. Can you see it, and what name do you see at the very top of that letter?
I can't read it because my phone's over there.
Okay, but it says it's from they'll see the Joshua Doyle, the executive director in the Florida Bar, and at the bottom of it, on the second page, you'll see that it came from a young lady by the name of Maria L. Torres. She's a bar counsel, and it says unlicensed practice of law, as you can see right here, investigation of Chagret Urania Doss. And they said they went to the website, GD NAPSI, which I said, well, dang, you went to the website, you see on the website, even the old one where it says, I'm not an attorney, I'm licensed to practice law, I don't practice law. I also tell people I highly recommend that they go and get professional counsel. The same thing that you got in the disclaimer. And what's interesting, if you look at any of my services, you'll see the same thing in every one of the services. So they wanted to know about what strategies I use and all this. I gave them a responsive letter. I think I sent you the letter, but my response is clear. My authority comes from on high.
So the thing is They gave you a letter, bro, because you are actually effective. Your strategies are effective.
I would say objection, speculation if I were in court, but because it calls for state of mind. But
But I'm gonna call it for what it is, bro. You're giving people freedom, bro, and they don't want people to be free in America.
oh, well, that kind of stings a little bit coming from somebody. These aren't cosmetic necessarily. These are identification tags. And for those who don't know, yes, I spent time in the military. I'm an honorably discharged disabled American veteran.
Yeah, and you're
And,
fighting for us to be free.
well, my oath and commitment to solemnly support and defend the Constitution of the United States was against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I would bear true faith and allegiance to the same and obey the lawful orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed above me in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. I didn't sit here and practice it every day. I embodied it because at one point in time, I was willing to give my life for the set of principles that I do fight
Wow,
for now and I share with everybody. So that's just what it is.
that's deep.
But I appreciate the compliment that you think that I appreciate that somebody on the outside thinks that I might be effective. Kind of makes me think, what's that saying? If they're talking about you.
Right, you're doing something right. And the thing is that they're not talking about Lionel. They're not talking about the child support made simple. They're not talking about them because these guys, I think, are just underhanding them to them. Like, just here you go. You're actually enlightening other men on. You're not telling them what to do. Yeah, and that's the thing that this letter just far fetched because you're not saying, hey, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. You're not doing that. You're simply saying read your law.
Right. And if it were
Read
me,
your law.
and I do say if it were me, I may approach it this way, but I'm not you and you, I'm not you and you not me. So
Yeah.
you slam with the
Right.
foot to the ground. But the thing is, I'm like this. The sharing of the information in my life story is kind of like everybody who comes in contact with me. I kind of give them an autobiography of my life, and at the same time, how I would address the situation that was given to me. But ultimately, the individual has to make their own decisions. I can't do that for them. And again, I do highly recommend people get the assistance of a qualified attorney in your district or your jurisdiction. I spent many hours with attorneys. I paid for consultations. I've watched bar preparation. When attorneys prepare for the bar, I've gotten so many of those classes. I've gone online and pulled them down. I've listened to them. I used to listen to music. For those who don't know, that Greg DOSS is also DJ Squid. I'm the same guy. So I was into music, and my stuff, my mixtapes, and all that other stuff. All that's fine. And I said, let me put that stuff to the side and stop listening to music and stop listening to so much talk radio. And the time that I spent, that I had dedicated to music and having a good time, which I still love to have a good time, I started to put into my journey because nobody else was willing to help me. And I could not afford the kind of representation that it would have taken for me to get the outcomes that I ultimately got.
Yeah. So the thing is that when I'm because I've been doing my Googles on you, Greg. I've been doing my Googles on you, Greg, and I seen that you have a very big issue on your hands outside of child support.
Oh yeah.
So I want to very brief. I want to kind of understand what is really going on because this child support letter. Not only did it come after we dropped the video with child support about exposing child support as fraud, but it also came after you filed something against Tampa City Council, and you know more of the details, so I kind of want you to explain it. But I think that this bar letter is like, hey, you need to shut up, Greg.
Oh, like retaliation, and I say that.
Hey, like, you need to calm down, Greg. So why can't we? What's going on with that? Why do you think they sent that letter? Is it what's going on with Tampa Council?
Well, oddly enough, my last appearance before the Tampa City Council, which you can get on my YouTube page at Greg DOSS GDNAPSC, I told him I believe that I don't believe in coincidences, and I thought it was kind of strange that a couple of weeks after I made the Tampa City Council aware of some issues I had involving local attorneys, particularly Austin Road Basketball Professional Association, Butler, Weimiller, Katz and Craig, HD Law, and Banker Gasser Lopez, which these firms comprise over 300 attorneys. And I believe the Tampa City Council, in their way of protecting not just those firms, but also Tampa's interest in my federal lawsuit, which is now in the Federal Court of Appeals at the 11th Circuit, where I accuse a city of Tampa police officer who happened to be the mayor's bodyguard at the time, the former mayor, and he's actually still the present mayor's bodyguard, of falsely charging me with perjury in an official proceeding. I did win that proceeding self-represented, but the so-called witness was a sitting judge in the 13th Judicial Circuit by the name of Gregory Holder. And I believe that a lot of my follow-up incidents are all, I believe they stem from that. Now, maybe we could get discovery. Maybe if I could get the 7,000 emails, that they had about me that I didn't know about during my criminal proceeding that only came up when I filed for discovery in my civil action. I found out they had 7,000 emails about me. Wow. 7,000. And really, I would highly suggest that everybody out there do some sort of public records request just to say, how many emails do you people have on me? Because I'm not famous. I'm just not fighting a charge. And I think that for those who don't know, Tampa City Council, and actually even recently, the city of Tampa Police Department has been found to have been involved in some nefarious activities. I'm sure all police officers have. But in this instance, there was an incident where a guy named Robert DeBose, you can go look it up, spent 35 years in prison. In fact, part of that time was on death row because the city of Tampa accused him of killing a person, and there was a bite mark on the individual. Well, after the Innocence Project, I believe it was, stepped in, they found him, he was exonerated. In fact, he was on death row about to get executed, and one of the governors stayed the execution and just commuted his sentence to life. But we find out later on, he not only didn't commit the crime, there was no DNA, and the bite mark belonged to a dog.
Right.
This guy did 35 years. The city of Tampa paid, I think, like $14 million for it. Then I found out recently, another gentleman did 29 years for a burglary that he was innocent of, and the city of Tampa paid $7.3 million to him. There's another gentleman who died at the hands of police officers years before George Floyd. Oddly enough, they gave his family $300,000, and he's dead. The city of Tampa is well aware of what the underlying issues were. They know that their police officer didn't do a real investigation. He never saw me. He was never around me where I made a false statement under oath that I did not believe to be true in an official proceeding in regards to a material matter. That never happened. I never made the statement, and that officer and I have never spoken about the case. But he filed a criminal report affidavit charging me with perjury. And the interesting thing is, even when I went looking for this police officer and he knew I was looking for him, he avoided interviewing me. How many police officers avoid speaking to the main suspect when the suspect, hey, can I see Officer Michael Victor? Yeah, he's with the mayor. He's the mayor's bodyguard. Another thing to keep in mind with this case, and this is all about the city, why would a sitting Hillsborough County judge or a circuit court judge, if he thought I did something sinister or criminal, why would he call the policeman versus calling the sheriff who's in charge of the courthouse?
Right.
There's a whole lot more nuance to that case. If I can tell you what I think it is, I think it's about the $1 million worth of properties that they took from me improperly.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, I think it's about the houses.
Do you have a situation where these people stole, how many different properties was it?
4
different properties. They were having these hearings in their own chambers, not public hearings, right?
They're in their chambers and not in the courtroom. Yeah.
In the courtrooms, right? So they're making these decisions and deals per se in their chambers. Is that even lawful?
I would say this. I would find it highly improbable that you could conduct a proper proceeding in chambers
Improbable.
without all parties present. And I say that to say this. In the case involving Greg Holder, there was the original bank was Morris, Snyder and Wittstadt was the original law firm that filed the lawsuit. They end up being they were found one of their partners was embezzling money from the firm. Some rich golfer found he was missing some money. So anyway, that firm withdrew. Another firm supposedly stepped in and proceeded and continued the case. What did not happen in between was that the firm did not have an order to proceed. You get it? So if it's Hit House Law Firm starts the lawsuit, if Danny wants to continue, he can, even though he's not the first attorney to file it because he works for Hit House. But then Greg DOSS, or I shouldn't say that, some other law firm takes over and there's an attorney named some other attorney.
Right.
That they can do the substitution of counsel, but the court has to allow Hit House to withdraw and has to give permission to the new firm to proceed. That never happened. That's a procedural issue that would mean that everything that the new law firm filed would be considered what?
Tell me, I don't want to listen.
It would be considered void. That's not legal advice. It's just a fact.
It's just the law.
If I don't have permission to proceed, and I'm proceeding, everything that I do is no good.
So there's got to be a bigger issue going on. Are these people stealing homes from foreclosed homes?
That would be what I thought. And what
so these people are stealing property.
They did to me four times. And if you go
okay, but you're just one person. How many homes are you coming across in Tampa? And then what if they're not even just doing this in Tampa? This could be a national issue.
And this is why I had an affinity for Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris, when she was the Attorney General for California, is the one who issued the moratorium. She's the one that caused the moratorium that affected the property that one of the properties we're talking about. So it shouldn't have been anything going on. So a friend of mine told me about it. She said, no, they can't do anything because in fact, it was countrywide. And what's interesting is it relates to this property, because there's different stories for the other properties, and they can get to that later on. This property, the bank that filed the foreclosure is not the bank that loaned the money. In fact, for the property, the person who bought the property, Michael Wire, I can say his name because it's a part of the record, it was Bank of America was the servicer of the loan. So if you look at his bankruptcy, which I went and did, it's not Bank of New York Mellon, it's them. So you're like, well, how did all this stuff change place? And I'll do this so we don't kill or bore the people with the information unless they really want it. And this may be disturbing to you, so I'm glad you're sitting down. Bank of New York Mellon does not appear in the chain of title until after me.
Meaning meaning that they stole it.
I don't want to say that. when you run, you just say.
I mean, were you given any money for those properties?
No, I didn't get anything in return. In fact,
did you sign it over?
No, I never signed it over. No.
So then they took it.
they broke it.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Let's call it for what it is, man. Because the thing is that they're not playing with you, so why you gotta play with them? They're not, So the thing is, I think that this issue is a lot bigger than your situation, and yeah. So the thing is that
child support is fly shit. Child support is fly crap to these people. They don't care about the child support because all my kids are grown, right?
Right.
And all my situations, as we saw, were terminated. They tried to bring them back because of. I had to give you credit. I'll probably deny that I'm giving you credit. There's no issue for them with child support with me. There's none. Didn't you say that? They don't care about your child support.
They don't care about that shit. They're using it to deflect from you away from the bigger issue, and the bigger issue is that they're out here stealing property. So the thing is, uh,
Well, you rough with it, bro.
we need some more help. We need like a attorney, a bigger firm to stand behind you on this. I just don't see
Or
any.
take it over.
Huh?
Or take over the case. I went to an attorney.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that you're not a bad client to them. You do all the work. An attorney just has to stand and you know work with you. But I just don't know if there's any attorneys out there that got the balls to sit there and do that.
I'll say this, and I'll calibrate based upon what you said. I've actively sought attorney representation. So for those out there who think I'm trying to, that's never been my motivation. In fact, if they just did what was proper, I would be minding my business somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like somebody came and slapped me in the head and kept walking. No, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I'm not that guy. And I really wish the attorneys would, but what an attorney told me, I went and spoke to him, and it kind of gave me an insight as to what route I was going to end up taking. He said, you know, Greg, you don't need an attorney. You need a firm.
Right. That's what I said.
And this is the name of my book coming up for one of my books. You ready to write this down, Hit House?
What? I'll go back.
You have a jurisdiction in question. He looked at the information and said, you have an entire jurisdiction in question now. Meaning, everybody is suspect.
They're all
well, I don't want to say that part, but I know you're going to go. You can say it, but I won't. But it just looks very odd because anybody who lays eyes on that, but people who are much more skilled than you and I can say, well, if Mr. DOSS never signed over the house, how did the house get sold? He was never divested of ownership 4 different times.
The only thing I guess that, and this is just I gotta play devil's advocate, is did you rightfully ever own the house?
Well, absolutely. And
well, that's I'm just that's what they would probably go with. They would probably try to prove that you didn't rightfully ever own the house. That
may work, except for one very important fact. I was listed as a property owner in the records.
Right.
Kind of like how do we do this? Where is this? There's a here we go. This may rattle some people, and I don't want to upset any of your folks, so to speak. But if you give me a second, I want to show you something. You said something that was pretty interesting about this. Now I know you can't really see because of your screen size, but the people on the people watching can see where my name is right here. You see my name, Chagret. My given name is Chagret. This right here, Bob Henriquez, is a Hillsborough County property appraiser. This came from his website. You see that? I'm the owner. I'm the owner.
It's not like they took you off.
They did take me. They took me off without giving me a day in court. That's for Spinnaker.
No, I'm saying they took you off the record of owning the house.
No, I'm still in the chain of title. That's
what I'm saying. So that's crazy.
Clareside in Valrico, 2534 Clareside Drive in Valrico. There it is. I was the owner. And I don't make this up. You know, could not recreate this. All this kind of technology didn't go. In fact, I still have the current property records where you can see the chain of title. In fact, it's a part of my federal lawsuit. There's for Branfield, 12725 Branfield Drive. See that? That's me. And then the final one, which in fact, if you look at the property owner values now combined, it's like $1.6 million.
So let me ask you this, Greg.
That's Tuscany. Yes,
what relief are you looking for?
In which respect? You talking about just for the houses?
The houses.
Well, Florida has a rule that governs civil theft, and you're entitled to at least treble damages. So quick math, if the houses are worth 1.5, they would owe me times 3, right?
Yeah.
Which would be 4.5 minimum for that property. And here you have another issue. They're still my houses. That means somebody's living in my houses, so there's an argument for.
So what money have they made off those houses, right?
Well, not just that. What could I have made in this market based upon the fact that if we look at some of these properties on Zillow, the house Spinnaker was sitting on the water. I can actually see into St. Petersburg from Tampa in that house. What could I have made through Airbnb on any of it? What could I have made just renting these properties out for the last 8 years?
Yeah.
Even at $2,000 a month per property, which that's under the market here, except for Spinnaker, you're talking about I could probably have made anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a month with those properties. So you're talking about 10.
Now, who's who's taking these properties? Is it like who's owning them? Is it like the judges are owning them?
See, now you get ready to start stuff. I don't know. I know that there's owners there now.
Bro. You know, but you know why you brought me.
I don't want to speak on what I think. I just find it odd that judges would have let this go. I'm gonna blow your mind more. I'm glad you're already sitting down. Here's another one for you. The statute of limitations under Florida law, even though there's a thing called the Bartram decision, they can come back. Under Florida law at the time, if you wait more than 5 years from the last date of a default to file a lawsuit, you're outside the statute of limitations. How about for Tuscany? They filed the lawsuit after the 5-year statute of limitations and they still took the property. So that would be a what? Void as well.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, either they say, well, you're not going to get the properties back. I could always argue for lost income. And that's still a monumental amount, right?
Correct.
And pain and suffering, of course, because they took me out of Spinnaker with 7 sheriff's deputies. In fact, they came in there with their hands on their pistols.
I actually wanted to talk to you about that because I didn't know. Well, you mentioned it, but I wasn't aware that they came in and escorted you out of your own home.
And interestingly enough, the writ of possession had the name of the prior owner. It didn't even have my name on the writ of possession, which they'd have had constructive knowledge. I'm the owner because I'm the owner in the public records.
Yeah.
Even the tax bill was paid in my name. All that stuff is there.
Wow. Yeah, you got a case on your hands, Greg. So, as I asked before, what these are different reliefs you're asking for, but what do you want? Now you told me which ways you could go, but what do you want?
I want adequate compensation for the properties taken. I want them returned because that's part of my legacy. I can give those to my children. Those homes represent generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any delusion that I'm going to live forever, but I think that my kids could benefit greatly from having that, and my grandchildren, even the ones I don't have, could benefit greatly from it. I want. They're not going to give me an apology, so you pay for the apology. I'm still going to write the book. If you want to pay me for the book, you pay me for the book. But I can say Judge Greg Holder. I can say Judge Ficarota. I can say the judges that was in front of Mark Wolf, Mark Heiser, Christopher Nash. I can say one of them is actually a federal judge now. His name will come back. Thomas Barber. I think his name is Thomas Barber. He's a judge that went up. But I can say the judge who, after only one out, they prosecuted me for 7 months about this stuff, dude. I was looking at 5 years in prison for that perjury charge that I won. Now you know. But Thomas McGrady, after 1 hour, threw it out. There was nothing there. And in the Supreme Court, Justice Lombarga, who was the Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, intervened in my case and sent the judge in from outside of Hillsborough County's 13th Circuit. So he went and grabbed a judge from somewhere else that nobody knew, brought him in, and that's how my case got dismissed.
And he had no jurisdiction to dismiss the case.
No, he did. He dismissed it.
Oh.
He dismissed the criminal case against me.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. So the thing is, Greg, because we've seen this in history books. People, and I hate to say it like this, but people get
Untimely
handled.
demise is because they fight back.
People die for standing up to these people, bro.
Wow.
Are you worried that your life is at risk to these people?
Listen, like Dr. King said, like any man, I like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I can't worry about that. You know, I accepted mortality when I joined the military. And if I'm not willing to fight for what's mine, then that means I'm willing to die through subjugation, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I would say that.
It's kind of crazy to think that I'd be willing to fight and die for the country, but I won't fight and die for me. How does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, because if you don't stand for anything, you fall. If you don't stand for nothing, you fall for anything.
There
That's for
you
sure.
go. And,
So
greater men than me have fought so that one day I would not lay down and say nothing.
yeah,
I'm just doing what was done for me. I stand on their shoulders.
yeah,
And I know that there's other people who may not be as articulate as I, who may not have had the wherewithal, who may not have been as blessed with all the resources, financial and familial resources. You know, I'm the least formally educated person in my immediate family, by far. And they're but I was blessed with at least an adherence to being mistreated. And if I were wrong, it would be if I was legally improper. Would we have some orders that would explain why I'm legally improper, bro?
correct.
I've had in other cases I've had 10 appeals, which you know it's kind of strange, and it's a different situation. In my insurance case, the judge, Emily Ann Peacock, wanted me to release parties that I didn't sue. I only sued Chandra and Linda Tucker. Do you know that she said, well, I want you to release Bank of New York. I want you to release State Farm Auto Insurance Company as an independent tortfeasor. I want you to release Officer Roll Basco Professional Association as an independent tortfeasor. I want you to release Dr. John Shim as an independent tortfeasor, Shim Spine as an independent tortfeasor, and I want you to release the VA of any responsibilities as an independent tortfeasor in a case where I didn't even name them as a defendant. Interestingly enough, when I filed an appeal about one of my properties, in fact, if y'all go look up Chagret DOSS, my name's going to come up. And one of the decisions as to the reason why I was not allowed to intervene when they were trying to steal my homes, Daniel, was I was not a party to the case. The court that PCA'd or per curiam affirmed their decision is the same court that told me I could not get relief in another case because I wasn't a party. So to your question or your speculation that this is when you first said this ain't got nothing to do with no child support, they know what else you know. They can't clean up all of these records because the paperwork is already done, right? The ink's already dry in a digital form. Let's say just scrub the entire clerk's records all over the place. I've essentially infected their entire system, for lack of better words.
Yeah, and the thing is that you're an actual problem to these people, bro. And that's why I asked you about, are you worried about your life and stuff like that?
It's going to be what it's going to be. I can't be here forever. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to be a martyr, but like I told them in that letter, I'm also not your damn mark. It is what it is. At this point, I am a political prisoner because if they wanted to, and I'll play advocate of the demon with you. If they really care, wouldn't they have already sent somebody to say, "Hey, what can we do to resolve this?"
Well, they probably don't want to resolve it with you.
Well, they would make me more popular in death than I've been in life because it doesn't make the issue go away.
It'll buy them some time.
And then again, it may buy them none because veterans have died for the country. And the interesting thing is, as a veteran of the United States military, don't you think if I was fighting for people's right for fundamental due process, I should be able to share in the same?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I can't have to beg for it either. In fact, I ain't going to.
So did you responded to the you responded to the letter?
Yes, sir.
So what are some topics that you told these people? Because obviously you got disclaimers everywhere.
Well, I explained the disclaimer, and I also used some references, some biblical references. I'll send you a letter so you can see it. But interesting. I just told them I know that this is not about that.
Wow, you just called them out on it.
Come on, man.
That's crazy.
If nothing else, I'm candid. I don't think that I'm ambiguous when I speak. I'm pretty clear. And as I told the city council when I was in front of them, I'm not afraid of you people. And without being funny, candidly, if I was not so well calibrated, a lot more people would be in danger, wouldn't they? Just based on my skill set.
Yeah.
But I know that is. They would probably want me to lose it and do something like that, but I'm not going to do that because it would also diminish. It would give them another distraction in the event I went that way and just went all out. There are other people who have been adversely affected that when they're looking at me say, well, it's Greg, but this is all of us, right? I know you can't see this either, but it's not just Greg, it's everybody. And for those who don't, and by the way, even if the people who are your members or what have you want the letter, you're more than welcome. It's public record. Remember, it's inside the bar thing.
Just yeah. You know what? You know what we might do. I'm glad you said that. I'll put a link in the description, and we're gonna let people just have access to it. That's okay with you, Greg?
What you mean? It wouldn't matter if it's not okay with me. It's public record. Remember?
Well, I like to get consent when I get in situations.
Yeah, I'm transparent. I'm transparent. Yeah. If I didn't want to be transparent, the consequences of unauthorized practice of law is a crime, so they can put you in jail for it, which hey, is what it is. But
you're not doing that.
I know that, but.
Right. Well, I got to put it in the video because they're gonna watch it. They're gonna do their Googles and they're gonna sit here and they're gonna be like, "Who is this DBTV guy always talking to this Greg DOSS guy?" It's a fucking issue. So, yeah, we got to put it in the video, bro.
Well, you may like it within my preliminary statement when I told him I was going to get to the heart of a matter. I said a long time ago, like during a time when there were states in this nation that had anti-literacy laws to prevent enslaved people, which my people were once, from learning how to read, and this would include Florida. The great Frederick Douglass said, "Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave."
Yeah. So it sounds like the problem is a little deeper than just the Tampa City Council, deeper than child support. You're essentially teaching people how to be free, and if you're,
I hope I'm not to teach them that. I think that should be one of the laws of nature.
Look, bro, we gonna call it for what it is, bro. I'm tired of tiptoeing around these people, bro. The thing is, if you teach men how to stand up for their rights, let's say that,
and women.
Well, yeah, well,
I just teach
this right. Let me get my point across. So the thing is, if you teach these people this, there's going to be less jobs or less money for the DMV because they're not going to be suspended. They're not going to be suspending people's licenses. The child support money, they're not going to get a lot of that because you're what's the word we
adversarial.
No, minimizing exposure. So then, you're taking a lot of people's jobs and money away. And that's what I think the problem is, along with the Tampa City Council situation. It's the money.
I'll accept that. You know why? Because all y'all had to do was leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles has improperly suspended licenses for years, you owe these guys something. Especially if the license suspension came because of the request of the Department of Revenue based upon some unverified set of information or some meritless determinations in the child support hearing or in some sort of proceeding. then so be it.
Yeah.
We all know that they survive off of the adversarial relationships between the mother and the father. But let's just say hypothetically, guys who may have spoken with me may be inspired, because I don't give them the advice, but get inspired to get to a point with the relationship with the mother where you can get the liability, your liability or exposure limited by, let's go ahead and split this time sharing or custody or parental time, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now all of a sudden, I never owed you $800 a month. I may owe you $120 a month. I may owe you $200 a month. But now you.
Yeah, but the thing is about it, these guys, if they got a baby mama like, somebody like myself, they want to give you all the time, tell the court that you don't got no time, get the maximum child support, but never be with the kid and give the kid to you all the time. Bro, every time where I'm on the phone with you, bro, I got my kid, bro. I just, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, the thing is that these mothers are exploiting their children.
Well,
would you agree with that?
I won't disagree that there are instances that I'm aware of where mothers unjust, or I would think improperly utilize child support as a means of becoming some sort of punishment to the father. But I believe that more of the guys that were in my situation, I didn't know any of this stuff. Bro, trust me, if I had known this stuff 25 years ago, I could probably guarantee that there's some of those kids that wouldn't even be here. Because I'm really about this work.
No.
Because if you take away the incentive for the mother,
yes,
and that's what information does. What I've helped guys do based upon what I learned later is I help to take away that incentive to try to even go to these people. Because if you get it down to the middle, maybe you thought you was getting $500, now you get $50 a month. That's a convenience fee. Okay, I would give that just to keep you people out of my business. But what if you could come to me and you could learn, is the calculation proper? Oh, it wasn't. Did you follow all the mandatory disclosure rules that need to be followed? Let's look for these things. We're a whole bunch of other, and there's always nuance. Did the trial court have competent substantial evidence upon which they can make a determination? That's not legal advice. It's just for something you can go find out. I didn't create.
Did they follow the strict?
Did they follow the procedure? Were all necessary prerequisites to bringing an action met? We can sit here and have all these conversations because the language. What I do is help people understand the language. Even I can say, hey judge, hey look man, hey bro, you ain't do this. Hey judge, hey no, you got to do this. You got to check and see how much time we spend together. Well, I'm not going to. Well, I'm object to that, judge. If it were me.
I'll give you an example with one of my hearings. My most recent hearing where I actually got my motion granted. But
congratulations.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So, I go into there. I filed the motion.
Hopefully something that we discussed may have been instrumental in you achieving the relief that you were.
Absolutely was. Don't break your hand trying to pat your back.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
But no. So the thing is that I went in there.
Taking that soy sauce, bro. Next time you're taking some soy sauce.
I went in there and I filed a motion for dismissal. There was no need for them to appoint a GAL. They still appointed it. But the thing is, one of the things that I learned or got inspired by working with you was to make sure that you know what are the exceptions to these rules and the exceptions to the exceptions. And that was so monumental to my victory.
Hey, guess where I learned that?
Where?
From attorneys. That's how I learned about it.
So the thing is, the reason why that was important in this hearing, and I'm saying this so that way other men could get inspired and enlightened and book a consultation and learn more if they need to. But anyways, so the rules of the court when it comes to voluntary dismissal in Illinois is, if you have not started trial, the petitioner should be granted
is that anywhere in Rule 750 of the Illinois?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 1009. It was 750. It's 750 1009 to be exact.
Okay.
Come on, man. You know who you're talking to, man. All right. So,
but everybody out there listening don't know who they're talking to now. They may still think they're talking to chicken nuggets.
Soy sauce, yeah. So, so no, but the reason why I say that is because they said one of the exceptions was if the defendant or the opposing party files a counter petition. But the thing is that what I did was find the exception to that exception, and you cannot have an or tennis motion.
What's an or tennis motion? What is or
tennis motion? Yeah, it's basically you just go in there and you just tell the judge that you're trying to do a motion for this.
Terms is an oral motion, right?
Right, but the thing is that that's improper, and he had no legal standing the moment that I filed that voluntary dismissal, and that's why it's important to find the exceptions to the exceptions. So I definitely have been sharpening myself this past month since I've been talking to you, and we've been going back and forth about just a ton of shit. But the person I am today, night and day difference, man. Like night and day difference. And the thing is that I've been since we've done our interview exposing Lionel, child support is fraud. There has been a lot of a big wave of other men that was like, hey, that was me. Hey, that's me too. And
well, you gonna stay there, ain't you? You gonna continue to poke the bear with this, huh?
Well, it's fuck the bear. Shout out the Bears though. The Bears been playing amazing. But the issue is not the bear. The issue is the people around that are getting affected.
The fact that the thing is, and I'll say this. It's hard to respect people who you think are manipulating people's pain for personal aggrandizement or personal benefits. And sometimes these guys can do things that may be, for a while, irreversible. So I can understand that frustration. I didn't have that. I was blessed because a couple of things kind of caught my attention. And also, just for clarity, I had taken intro to tort law, intro to criminal law, intro to real estate law. So I had some idea what was going on and how the law worked. I took constitutional law. Yeah. So I had an idea when I was in school. Okay, so when I came into some of this new information, there was it was buffering for me, whereas other people didn't buffer. They just grabbed that shit and ran off into it and just took a bite out of it. I smelled it before I tried to eat it. And then I saw people who weren't getting the results basically. They weren't getting positive results that matched the language they were spewing, for lack of better words. And I'm staying calibrated.
But the thing is that you're playing with people's money. It's not gonna be a walk in the park.
And their lives, Daniel, and their lives.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I agree with you when you say your frustration with it. Oh, I get all that, bro, because that stuff is not cool, man. There are people that are being ultimately harmed in ways that we may not be able to fix, and that's not cool.
Well, the thing is that I made it a business of mine to shed light on everything, pulling curtains back on everybody catching the smoke. And the thing is, you want to know why? It's because I genuinely care, because I know how bad this part of my life has affected me. You know what I'm saying? It really affected me, like this child support stuff. And I know a lot of guys, and we talk. I hate hearing all the sentimental bullshit when it comes to this shit. But the thing is that's why I fight to put the message out there. Now, if you hop in my inbox and start crying and say, "Can you please help me?" I'm not. You don't even got a backbone, so I can't help you. But the thing is that there's people out here that are exploiting those type of guys, and I'm not with that. I'm not with that.
Me either.
Yeah, so I definitely advise, as you say, you know, to go get a good licensed attorney.
I don't advise, I recommend, but go ahead.
In the event that you can do this on your own. You can.
But you can't be lazy in doing it, D, and tell them that while you always
Man,
you say the part that you say when we talk. You can't be, soft stepping or whatever you want to use. I know
this is a full-time
this
job.
is a full contact. This is a full contact industry.
Yeah, because you're taking yourself to school again, bro. Like you're taking yourself to school again, and when you go into those court hearings, that's your test. Like,
period.
Yeah.
Period.
So if you're not prepared for that test, what are you gonna? You're gonna fail it.
And a lot of these are not take home tests. So you have the time that you're sitting in front of them to get it done, or you're gonna get your ass whooped. That's just, these guys out here, all this bloviating, and you listen, people. You can't bluff your way to victory, as a pro se. It don't work, man.
No.
A lot of that jargon, that a lot of stuff I wasn't even paying attention to because I had no reason to. But after meeting you and I started going back in and looking at certain things, I'm like, I can't believe people actually believe these people.
Yeah, and the thing is, what's even worse than that is you sit there and you're buying a packet off of somebody else who bought a packet off somebody else.
Who may have gotten it from somebody else.
That's what I'm saying. Child support is fraud. Bought the paperwork he's selling off of Rick W.
Oh, really?
I have the screenshots from, you know what? I'll go ahead. You know what? Look, hey, if you guys look right here, I'm putting the screenshots right here. Boom. I'm going to put where Rick W. and Lionel, I actually confronted both of them about this paperwork.
Wow.
Yeah, so look, you're going to see right here, I'm going to put Rick W.'s emails where he says they sold that to him. And then I'm going to put the the DMs where I tell Lionel about him reselling the paperwork. But anyway, yeah, man, like they really,
that is insane.
Selling paperwork.
So people are taking so people aren't just like saying, hey, listen, this is your situation. If it were me, or they don't look down and y'all kind of talk about how you're going to construct a document.
Not at all. And you know what?
Wow.
Now that I'm as sharp as I am, when I hear these guys speak, I'm like, these guys are idiots, bro. You don't know real court experience. You don't have any real court experience.
No, they don't.
You got your case dismissed because the kid wasn't yours and you were 12 years old, and somebody signed on your behalf, that would be intrinsic fraud. That's fraud, right? But
child support is not fraud.
Yes. Now,
it's bad somebody saying that it violates the separation of powers. Get the fuck out of here.
But
listen, can I say this before you go on? Let's make this real clear.
Yeah.
If child support were unconstitutional, it would not exist.
Correct.
Certain things that were unconstitutional, they strike it down as being unconstitutional. What happens? It goes away.
Yeah.
Child support is still here.
I had to unlearn all that. You got guys that are real deep in the rabbit hole, and they here's what I will say though, because I've been down the rabbit hole, and fortunately I had the strength to climb out of it. But the thing is that the system, the child support Title 4D is not unconstitutional, and it's not fraud. What makes it fraud is the way that these women are trying to obtain the funds. That is what I will say.
But fraud, let me say this also, and this is not legal advice, and don't take my word for it, go look it up. For fraud on the court must be, at least in Florida, must be initiated by an officer of the court. I'm not going to do that because it's a different kind of interview, but I'll take the time. You can come to my page, and since you brought it up, if you text it to me, we'll break it down, what fraud on the court is and what are the elements.
That's a good video. That's a good video. We should do that.
Because I understand it, because I had to go look at it.
Yeah.
And it typically has to be done by an officer of the court, so the clerk, the judge,
sheriff,
or even an attorney.
Right.
And if I didn't say clerk, don't forget the clerk is also an officer of the court. Notary is an officer of the court.
Wow.
Now, there's things that can constitute a fraud, and if the action, the mother asking for services is one thing. She's either eligible for the services or she's not. If the services are funded, if the program is funded by federal funds, then the federal law would probably dictate what the states can and can't do in order to receive the grant. In order to get the grant, you can't, infringe upon a well-established right. These are all things that you could be looking at. But just to say fraud allows a dumbass to think he's smart because it's so vague and over breath or ambiguous. Oh yeah, you violate my due process rights. Okay, specifically how is it?
Exactly.
Substantial or procedural due process.
Yeah.
And exactly how. And by the way, in Florida for sure, fraud must be pled with specificity. That's not legal advice. You can go look it up. It's a statement. Fraud must be pled with specificity, meaning you have to say exactly why it is fraud and not because you feel what I'm saying.
Bro, so and you know what, we're gonna sharpen a lot of these guys. They have to be willing to unfuck themselves, bro. Because it's just, we see people in the comments all the time like, no, under 42 USC 65AA, the incentive program, and yes, but that's
your order.
Huh? What does that have to do with your order?
The order.
So the thing is that yes, and I always say this: there might be a problem that's bigger than you, but you need to.
There's a problem bigger than you, but that ain't your problem. There's a problem bigger than you, but that ain't your problem.
Exactly. So I'm not an attorney. I don't practice law. I can't give legal advice. But if it were me, I would fight my order. Like I would.
If it were me. In my instances, I fought my order. I didn't fight the other dumb shit.
Yeah, and it was a blessing to start working with you. So
you opened my eyes to things that you opened my eyes and my ears to considerations that I wasn't willing to make before.
Yeah, that's good. The amount of change that you've brought and that you're bringing people, if you haven't watched our previous interview, I highly suggest you go and do that, where I actually had Greg bring people that he's actually helped on the call, and they actually were able to speak their own testimonies on the night and day difference from before Greg and after Greg. So I highly suggest you go watch that interview if you haven't. But now I can honestly say I'm one of those testimonies. I'm one of those people now too. So definitely whole different demeanor in the judge and the attorney. Previously before Greg, I walk in and they're railroading me, and then
did they really railroad you, or did you not sufficiently present the information? Because the information didn't change; it's just the way that you presented it.
Well, I wasn't attacking the order. I wasn't even.
So your issue didn't change.
Exactly.
The way you approached it did.
Right. And I will tell you
that sweet and sour sauce in them fries.
The judges will do the right thing if you hold them to it.
Typically.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere other than the 13th Judicial Circuit of Florida.
Yeah.
And I've had some great judges here as well. I've had some difficult times, but the difficult times are what sharpened me for the other times. Like child support opened the door for me to do the 12 or 13 traffic cases that you saw that I've done for myself. The child support opened the door for the perjury. The child support opened up the door for me to do automobile negligence litigation on my own. The child support opened the door for me to know how to do a deposition. So that's what it was.
So what's the future looking like for Greg DOSS with Tampa Council?
I don't know. We'll see. I'll be there Thursday to tell them, to shoot a middle finger to them, and then we'll see what goes from there.
So you don't have any hearings about that or anything?
Well, the city council is open. Everybody can go to your challenge city council meetings, and from your city council meetings, you can express how you feel about it. With the city council hearing meeting, they have no jurisdiction to really change anything other than write the check for me. But what it does is it gives me an opportunity to take to a public forum my concerns, and the concerns that ultimately if that money is paid out, that's taxpayer money. That is city of Tampa taxpayers' money for something that everybody knows that you did. Now, I'm going to say this, and I want to make sure everybody just take this with a bit of caution. If you multiplied what I have encountered in my personal experiences, and you say that even there's 12% of the population that has this in some way, shape, fashion, or form, any one of my various issues, and the outcome was as egregious as I've been able to show you all they have been for me, what kind of cesspool of corruption is going on in my city, my county, in my state? And then you can turn and look at yourself and say, damn. Because a lot of people got screwed and had no idea they were being screwed.
Exactly.
Even when it came to child support. Some guy, I had one more guy say, I just thought child support was a way of life. No, it's not a way of life. How is that a way of life? But if that's what you've been made to believe, it's kind of like faith. The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen, or however it is. Yeah.
When I looked at my child support order, they wrote me out to pay $700 a month, right? And off of numbers that they just came up with off of just out of thin air. That then they got a testimony from my baby mama, and my testimony and her testimony has no substantial evidence backing up those claims.
It's like saying I saw him fly without an airplane, huh?
Right. He flew. He had 4 wings, not 2. He had 4 wings.
Yeah, he's like Michael, the angel. He just popped out that damn wing.
But the thing is that so I had to tackle. I have to tackle using the rules of in Illinois. Is that what are the rules of evidence? Is that even substantial evidence?
I know in Florida you can go to chapter 90 for that.
Yeah. So these are things. I think another. No, I don't even want to misquote.
Can I say something to what you said? If it were me, and I know that she was under oath when she said it. If it were me, and depending on how what exactly she said, although I do know, I may ask her, "Did you tell the truth when you made this statement to the court?" If it came down to it,
right?
Because if her testimony is in the record, then that testimony can be impeached. But if that's not legal advice, if it were me, I'd look into that.
Right, yeah, because it was
but I ain't
it was just insane. And I just couldn't understand how these people do how they operate like this. It was just insane.
Need to be understood, or do you just need to know what you need to do?
Right. Now I know, and now I know the things that I'm tackling, and now it's just, and that's why I tell people join your school, because even learning the IRAC method will change your life, and that's the IRAC method. If people don't know, it's what's your issue? Are you what are the rules? How does it apply? And what's your conclusion?
You're entitled to the relief you're seeking, yeah.
Exactly. So, when you use that method, it's just insane. And just there's things that you can only learn from people who have the experience like Greg does. So you have a school now, school.com. Go ahead, tell the people.
I think it's GD Napsy, but until we get it set up and running this week, it will be this week. I'm willing to guarantee this week we're going to issue school as long as let's say the creek don't rise. You can go to the school by texting SKOOL to 813-570-9617. And everybody out there can get there. And then, once this interview is over, I know you're going to chop this up and do some other stuff. Make sure that you reach out to me at 813-570-9617. If you need to speak to me about something, of course, I can't give you legal advice, but I could tell you what I would do in that situation, and we can better articulate your situation.
773 DBTV, Hit House Chicago, man. You know the vibes, man. Appreciate you sitting down with me, Greg.
I appreciate the interview, and hey, everybody else, take care. Good luck to you.